it's fake. But it still gives me the same amount of joy, even though it's fake. I do not have a green thumb. I don't. I kill everything.
Okay, so all of my girlfriends, total sidebar, all of my girlfriends are like plant people. They know all these.
I wish I was.
Nope.
Oh, you're not either?
Nope.
Oh, thank God. I thought I was the only one.
Nope. Not a plant person at all. Like zero. I've taken care of one plant that I had in my apartment in Brooklyn. Her name was, and she was like, I don't know what kind of plant she was. She was given to me by one of these same women that I'm speaking.
Oh, by the plant people, right?
By the plant people, and I managed to keep her alive, and she cascaded down my bookshelf. But that was it. I was like, I would buy fresh flowers when they die, throw them out, buy new ones. That's me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm an ambitious person. I feel that one day, I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna train myself. I want to have a garden. But yeah, we planned. My family and I have planned this whole garden thing. We'll see about that. We'll see how it goes.
You have the space for it now.
Yes, we do. I'm gonna see. Should I move this up?
I like the black. Is that a wall you can write on, or is that a like?
No, it's not a chalkboard. Randomly. So my husband built this house.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the office, and I was always like, I love rooms with black walls. They look so cool, and everyone's like, "Are you sure?" Yeah. But then we decided to go just with the one wall that goes around. Like we've got barn doors over there, instead of so on the opposite side of this is 3 windows. So in the day it's like really, really bright and stuff. But we should have painted the side walls black as well. They're white, and I always regret it because the black looks really cool on TV.
But I also feel like it kind of looks like a backdrop right now, and I'm okay with it.
I totally planned all of this. Zoom life. So I tried to join you on a G Meet.
So it's really because when I put you in my calendar for us to like solidify the calendar,
right.
I forget that sometimes that actually goes into you can do it like Gmail tries to be smart and says you can use Google Meets for this, and I'm like, nah, I'm using Skype for this.
Yeah, actually. Wait, is your backdrop also black?
No, so I am at my girlfriend's house because I can't do this at my house. It's just too much. I don't have the space. It's too much happening.
Okay.
But she has a dark blue, like navy blue wall throughout the whole.
Oh.
So it's just perfect. It lends to it. It works. It's
gorgeous.
I was like, run to her house, and I'm like, I'm doing a podcast again. She's actually was one of the ones that encouraged me to do it, and she's been my editor, producer, / person.
Slash, all the slashes. We know about slashes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to move this up because you have a very nice orientation there, nice and large, and I'm trying to get that. You look beautiful, by the way.
The feeling is mutual toward you.
Difference is like
it doesn't do what your fro does. I'm always jealous of your fro.
Well, I do texturize like once a year because otherwise it would be short. And like I haven't cut my hair in probably 4 years.
Oh.
And people are always like, "You just cut your hair, didn't you?" I'm like, "No, it just has a personality. But it depends on how long you know." Okay, sorry, we're getting off track. Here we go.
Perfect. All right.
How do you know it's late at night?
I know, right? And we're like, ugh. All right.
Okay. And tell me, can you hear any like ambient noise? Is my audio? I don't have a microphone, but how is it? Echoey?
A little echoey, but it's fine. We're okay.
Okay. Well, I did an event on Thursday, a virtual event, and I had to get AirPods for them, and I was like, these are amazing. I only know where one is now. I got them on Wednesday.
They really, honestly, I've lost mine 1,000 times, and you eventually find them in the weirdest spots, and they really need to put a tracking device on it. Like the same.
But you do find them, right? You find them.
You find them. You find them, but you have to put a tracking device on them because, like, I have literally months not knowing. All of a sudden it's in like my Pistol Immortal, and I'm like, oh, that's right. I was listening to.
Of course, because that's where you put it.
And that's where you put it to keep it safe from not falling into the pot or water. But then you forget. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Excellent.
100%. All right, we doing this? Doing it?
Let's do this.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, we're good. Arisa Cox. Hello, my dear friend.
Oh, it is so nice to be sitting down with you. You look gorgeous. We're far away, too far away.
But that will change.
It will change. It will. Fingers crossed.
Coming. So I want to talk about your incredible journey. Like,
incredible.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not, listen, that's a big word. You know what? I really do feel very, very grateful. In general, weirdly, I think that's something that has always kind of been part of my personality anyway. So that's, it's good because I think I meet some people who I don't think are grateful. And sometimes I realize I have to be more grateful. It's a really good way of staying positive no matter what else is happening.
Absolutely. And present, right? In order for
I think that might be that might be, if I had a superpower, that might be it. I mean, I wish I had the superpower of not needing sleep because there's so much I can do, Kathy. But I need sleep. But yeah, no, I think that's a good superpower to have, is just feeling constantly like in awe of the blessings that you have and are all around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. And we want to, in this podcast, it's all about celebrating the people that have helped to get you there. So I want to talk about your college experience. Like, you went to Carleton University, one of the prestigious programs in Canada. And, how was that journey there? Did you have mentors throughout college? How did they shape, where you journeyed to after?
When we talk about school, for one, my mom was a teacher, and I think she really did instill that love of learning early. And I was a bookworm, and my daughter now is a bookworm. It's very cool to see. But for me, my journey through education really began in elementary and high school. Can we say that we went to school together? Is that a thing?
Absolutely.
So Kathy and I, we went to Claude Watson School for the Arts, which was an arts-focused elementary school, and then followed into the arts program in high school. And I was like an art major, a visual art major. But I would say very jack of all trades-ish, but not great enough at anything that I could be any of those things. Okay. If that means
people, I need you to not listen to anything that she's actually saying right now, because because she was an incredible visual artist and an incredible writer at that age. I bear witness to the awesomeness of Arisa in elementary school and high school. So no, you're not multifaceted at a very young age.
Okay, but this is what I mean to say. What I mean to say is that before I ended up at Carleton University for journalism, I was surrounded by all of these incredible artists. And I think I'm someone who has always been really inspired by the people sort of laterally, if that means anything. It was never always like, look at this, famous person, or look at this amazing author or artist or whatever. I was constantly looking around and in awe of the talent around me all the time. And I mean, like, your talent.
There was a lot of it. There was a lot of it in our school.
Or Sarah Polly, or what? Pardon me?
There was a lot of it in our school too. Like you said, just Sarah Polly. There was just like
a lot.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I was always like, wow. But weirdly, I think the thing I felt that I could do the best was write. And I don't know what happened. I think I did lose a bit of confidence in high school. And sometimes that can happen in terms of the idea of unconventional careers, right? If you don't have people around you that you see doing these things as a profession, you might be like, well, okay, if I was like way better than I am, then maybe I could do that as my job. But since I'm like okay, but like at a lot of different things, then maybe if I can write, I can synthesize all that information. And then I can be part of the arts community going forward still, because in the ranks of journalism and in our newspapers and the journalism on television, you need arts appreciators. You need people who speak the language of the arts to, I think, properly cover the arts. So I was like, okay, perfect. That way I'll sort of keep my fingers in all the pots, and then I'll still be able to write, which again, I chickened out. I could have tried to become a novelist, which is what I wanted to do. But I was like, okay, but what can you do if you actually want to work, like get a paycheck? You're like, so like, this is perfect. So when I went to Carleton, I only knew one other person from my high school. Like I felt like a lot of guilt about that, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I had all this arts training and I'm not going to be a visual artist or, work in theater or, but all that being said, I very much am a go with the flow type. I've never been a 5-year plan type of person. And I think being able to be present and liking what you do and trying to love what you do, I think that's a good place to be.
Did you have anybody that was encouraging you to go into journalism, or was that like once you made that decision, that was it? Like, was there ever you're like, well, maybe I don't want to do that, and I want to no.
Well, I would say there were a couple of teachers in high school leading up to that I would say made me think differently about a lot of things. Paula Citron is one of those teachers. She taught experimental theater and improv, and she's a dance critic for the Globe and Mail to this day. She's a really interesting person, but she kind of encouraged that not the why, but the why not aspect of sort of going after some crazy stuff. Like, someone can do it. Why can't that person be you? I think just because she also she had like no F's to give, but she really did love the arts, and I feel like she was really good for, I feel like, allowing me to think outside the box. And then in grade 10, I had this amazing teacher, Mr. Square. I took media studies, and I was like, bing, 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 bing. I'm like, oh, I get this. I get this.
Spark.
I get it. I understand it. I understand messaging, and I love learning about media literacy and all that. To this day, it like fascinates me. And I think that's when I was first like, okay, so journalism is like maybe something that I could be into. And then I was one of I think there was one journalism class in high school that I took, and I only knew a couple of kids. It was really, really small, but I loved it. And I think if you're someone who doesn't have one single focus, like I've always been like 10 focuses, it really, really made sense. And then journalism, was wicked. I mean, it's so funny. If you talk to kids now, I bet they still do this speech, okay? In year 1, they do this whole thing where they've got all the students in this massive lecture hall, and they like give you this huge hype speech about how it's amazing and you're there and it's like so tough to get in or whatever. And then they do the whole like, look to your left, look to your right. One of those students is not going to be here next year. Like, they make it really, really tough to stay in the program. You have to keep really, really high marks in the other parts of your study as well. And I was like, okay, like it's very dramatic, right? But of course, I'm also so dramatic. But I also, I am weirdly competitive, and I am a nerd. You know, people are like, I was such a nerd in school. Like,
You were a nerd. Straight up.
I was.
You were.
Like,
The most fashionable, like, social nerd. You were a nerd. Like, you weren't the quintessential nerd, like in the corner not talking to anybody, but you were a wordsmith and a nerd for sure.
I'm so happy I have confirmation, because some people think I'm lying, like for cred, or like for some kind of wasn't cool.
I was there.
But yeah, I do like working hard. So it wasn't like my university experience was like a lot of partying and all that stuff. I mean, there was a little bit at the, like, probably at the end, I was like, oh my God, school's almost over. I better misbehave somehow. But I loved the program, and it wasn't until I think third year that we did TV, and I was like, oh, so there's performing involved, and you get to write, and you get to like talk to a million people and hear all these different perspectives and find the gray between black and white and all these stories. Like, I am sold. That's when I was like, okay, TV is, that's my lane. I got it.
Okay. And were there any, once you left, did you have any mentors from Carleton that stayed with you, or did you just go?
Well, no, I had amazing teachers there. Amazing teachers. Lionel Lum was one of those teachers. I think he's retired now, but he taught television. And I'm trying to think who else was in my class. Rosie Barton from CBC was in my class. Robin Bresnahan from CBC was in my class. Really, you know, when you feel like you're the right fit for something, and then someone looks at you and says, you got this. That's all you needed to hear. It's like you're off to the races once you just get that one, you know, thumbs up.
One validation. You're like, yep, cool.
It's really important. And, you know, my mom is a very, very positive person as well. And she's always like, you know, if you're thinking something nice about someone, why wouldn't you tell them? Like, maybe they need to hear it at that moment. You don't know. Mm-hmm. And I think I take that with me a lot. And I appreciate when other people do that as well, because I think you need to be able to try to succeed on your own always, but it is immeasurable the benefit of people who believe in you and believe that you're going to succeed, even if they don't understand your decisions. I think that is really, really important. You know, life throws a lot of teachers at you, and not all of them are called teachers, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean,
gifts too, right? So like true teachers who are able to mentor and coach and teach is a special combination, and it's not in everybody, for sure.
No. And it's amazing when you see people who really have that calling and know what they're doing in terms of inspiring other people. And then there's like mentorship by osmosis. Is that anything? Like,
just by being in the room.
Yeah, there's a lot you can pick. I'm a very observant person. There's a lot you can pick up by really, again, staying in the moment and looking at the people around you. So my first job in TV, I was in third year at university at Carleton, and it was at CJOH, which is a local CTV affiliate here in Ottawa.
And did the program navigate that for you, or did you?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they had internships, and weirdly, it was my second choice, CJOH, but I didn't get my first choice. So this is when, like, you know, what is it, like the door closes and a window opens or something like that, but that's exactly what happened. So the only window they had left for a week-long internship was over the Christmas holiday, which is like, you know, when you're in school, you can't wait to go home for the holidays, whatever. It was the only one that was available. But like, I'm so grateful that that's what happened, because, and I'm so grateful that that's where I ended up at CJOH anyway, because they really gave students such an amazing opportunity to file stories. And I think I filed 3 stories that week, 2 television. You sign off and you say you're a Carleton, university student, but because no one was there, right? So it was like suddenly they have all this airtime to fill. I was like, I'll do it. I worked with Timothy Walker, who is incredible. And then Max Keeping, rest in peace, and Scott Hannett. They offered me a job there a few months later to do like weekends and nights and stuff. And of course I was like, yes. And so Timothy Walker was an amazing mentor to me. And then there's like the osmosis kind as well. So Kim Brunhuber was an anchor there at the time, and he's at CNN now in Atlanta. And walking in and seeing like a Black guy just like be great and not like, was no thing. Like, you don't think about the ways in which that can expand.
He was at CBC,
right? Pardon me?
He was at CBC. Carrie, is it Carrie?
He was at CBC for many years.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
And
well, you need those people that take you under the wing, right? Like that's incredibly important. Like, and it just.
And even if they don't take you under their wing, that they see you and they're like,
"We got you.
Go ahead." That's really helpful too, I think.
Yeah, and they give you a little bit of space to be yourself and encourage from the sidelines. Yeah, no, it's incredible. So after that experience, is that when you started to get into entertainment and weather with Ottawa A Channel?
None of this is going to make sense. I have a very weird career trajectory. Like there is no straight line. People are like, tell me the path. I'm like, honestly, my path was like, but no, I had a friend who was auditioning for this like crazy reality show that he'd heard of. Shout out to Jade. So we cut class, went to Montreal. We auditioned for the show.
You cut class to audition for the Lofters?
Listen.
Not encouraging kids to cut class, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Goody two shoes. So you can imagine it's a big deal for me.
About it. Did you have any idea what this format was? Did you have any clue?
No, this was after the first Survivor and Big Brother and Amazing Race was just airing in the United States. When at this point everybody watched it because it was a new thing. It was like, what is this reality TV? Like it was either a fad that was going to go away in a second, or it was like the end of every actor's career. Like at the moment people couldn't really figure out whether it was good, bad, whatever. And this one appealed to me though, because the concept was you live in a loft with 7 other people in downtown Toronto, but you also are working on hosting these little internet shows. So, which is crazy because this was like before YouTube, before Facebook, before. Right? Like people, millennials are like, what are you talking about, Grandma?
My second.
So it appealed to me because I wanted, sorry, what is that?
One season with them?
Say that again?
One season with them?
One season, yeah, which was 1 year.
Okay.
So the show was on for a year and a half. So we did like the full season. I think it got canceled halfway through the second season. But it was really bold. It was really ahead of its time. I wanted to get that experience doing arts and entertainment because up until then my reel was like really hard news, and I knew it wasn't for me. Like I learned so much at CJOH. Again, I'm so incredibly grateful for my time there, but I knew it wasn't for me. I covered a kid who got hit by a car skateboarding, and I was one of the first people on the scene, and I remember interviewing his best friend who had just seen his friend get taken away in an ambulance. And I was like, I'm not cut out for this. Like I did it and I'm like, this is like hitting me much harder. I'm like, let me just go to my safe place, which is fun art stuff, right?
It takes a special personality to be able to be calm, compassionate, composed in those situations. And it's like, all of us have those attributes in us, but to be in the situation and be able to pull it out is a whole different thing.
Yeah, it was more like, because a lot of the aspects of news I really liked. I liked the rush of it. I liked the really quick deadlines and the fast turnover. I liked thinking really fast on your feet, like writing stories on the drive back and then cutting it in like a crazy flurry and getting it to air. I loved all that. But emotionally, I was like, you have to shut off so much of yourself to be able to do a lot of this stuff. Like camping out so you can get a shot of this person who's accused of hurting people. Like that, it was like not, my spirit did not take to that at all. Like, I think I could do it. And it was a great training, but it wasn't where I wanted to be. So here was this place I could just try some new stuff and also like reacquaint myself with Toronto. I'm from Toronto, right? Yeah. I grew up at like Jane and Finch till I was around 7, and then I moved to like the Bathurst and Finch area, which is so North York, which is still the burbs. Yeah. But it was not a downtown kid. It's not. I was a real nerd, not like a fake one, a real one. So it was really fun to be able to live downtown Toronto, and I think we got paid $30,000. Let me tell you, I was rich.
You couldn't tell you nothing.
Couldn't tell me. Well, we didn't have to pay rent, right? So I was like, this is amazing. If you're a student for so long, suddenly you're like, oh my God. You have all this hanging around money. But it was a really, really good education. Also because I was very sheltered. So it was very important, I think, to learn how to stand up for myself in ways I didn't really think about having to do before. Suddenly, that whole thing, like, if you don't know who you are, like there's a ton of people who will line up to tell you who you are based on what they think about you or what they think you can do or your potential or, the corner of your life that they know about or whatever. I think I really had to figure out who I was based on what I was gonna fight for. And I'm a pretty stubborn person. So when people tell me I can't do something, that's like...
That's the worst and best thing they can say.
It's gonna work out bad for you. No. I think it was really important to find out that, I wouldn't just do things because I was told to do things if they didn't make sense. So I think I came out of that experience much stronger. I was a little bitter. I'm not gonna lie, at the beginning. It's a really hard thing to turn over your life and your reputation to other people who are making a show. And I think that's why I am so sympathetic and understanding and feel so much for people who play games like Big Brother, because it is, yes, it is a game for people who are very confident and, if not narcissistic and all of that. But it is a really brave thing to really believe in yourself enough to put yourself out there and open yourself up to all this criticism. Also love, and that's what you hope for. But the criticism does come along with it. And so I think it takes really strong people. And that's kind of how I felt. I felt like I learned so much about myself and I came out stronger.
And you said that they did mini internet shows within the show.
Yeah. It was like,
was this some foreshadowing? Were you a host for that? What was your role?
Yeah, it was like we did like a love and relationship show called Love Shack, and then we did like a house party show where I'd like, try to fill the house with people because Tiesto was gonna come like spin in our kitchen, and it was really fun. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And weirdly enough, I ended up with some mentors out of that experience as well.
Incredible. In what avenue?
Well, Zev Shalev was one of the executive producers, and I'm telling you, like, there's something about your boss being able to like walk into your bedroom and wake you up that like makes you like not really a fan of said boss. But then when the show was over, we ended up working together for years after, and Fiorella Grossi, like it's funny how you can respect someone and even if you were in an experience that where could have been more positive, like you can still learn a ton from somebody else if you're willing to sort of, one, keep your ears and eyes open, but two, forgiveness, I think, is really important. I think forgiveness is underrated.
Yes. Humility. Yes.
I think it's important to, they say forgiveness is really for you and not for the other person. Like true forgiveness means that you can let this person move past this experience that you've shared together. But you're doing it so that you also can move on from this thing, because life is really short. Like, we are on this planet for such a short amount of time that, you would hate to see someone who could fly be like weighed down by like the baggage of like being hurt. Not everybody has the ability
or the capacity. Yeah.
If you are someone who has the capacity, use it and encourage other people to find it, because that's, I think, the only way you can sort of keep your spirit free. And not everybody has that luxury. Some people have like deep pain that it's very hard to move past,
So those mentors that came out of that show, did that carry you into your journey into E! News Weekend and CBS?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, yeah, Zev, I think he straight up called me and he was like, hey, so we're starting up E! in Canada. Do you want to be the host? And I was like, yes, I do.
That's incredible. Yeah. Who would have?
Yeah, like and again, it takes a village. It's not just one person who's like, yeah, I see that you get it or whatever. But Barb Williams, who was his like production executive at the time too, I'd worked with her on Lofters, and that's why it's like when interns or young people ask for help, and I'm like, okay, take any internship you can, and then knock it out of the park. Do all the things.
Don't burn the bridge.
Don't burn the bridge. Impress the bridge. Make the bridge go.
Make the bridge a little higher. You can go to the bridge. It's great. You steady that foundation. Yeah, it comes back.
Because when people work hard, that's the person you want to call and say, hey, I just heard about this opportunity. Are you interested? Or do you think you can meet with them? Or I think you would be good for that. And at CBC,
there's a panel of people, like a entire room full of people making that decision. But if you have a few people in your corner saying, no, she's perfect for this.
Yeah.
It matters.
And I think at CBC, I remember we had always a constant stream of interns, and it was very clear who you would want to call after. It wasn't like, it was like, oh, remember her, remember him. And it was easy. So I think you have to remember that you should always be trying your best. It's so basic, but you should be trying your best at all times. You never know where anybody ends up. Plus you feel good. Like, I think, I think that's the case for maybe journalism and TV too, but especially artists who deal with like imposter syndrome. The best way to fight imposter syndrome is actually working your ass off, because then, right? Because then when things happen, when those amazing moments happen, you're like, oh yeah, I like worked so hard for this. Yeah. And it helps you to be able to enjoy it and be grateful and work even harder. All of those things.
Yeah, it keeps those doors just slightly open for you. That heart, and then it gets a little nudge, and then they slam it down, and then you're in. But it does. It absolutely does. It doesn't, because those windows and doors will shut super quick if you're not willing to work for it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been working in Canada my whole life. Now, you have worked, all over the US and around the world. And for you, I'm sure it feels like almost provincial. Like Canada is a very small scene. And even within Canada, like the Toronto scene is even smaller. And then the journalism scene is really small, and the art scene.
Everybody. It's not 6 degrees here. It's like 2 degrees.
1 degree. 2? Yeah. You mean 1? It's like
and you.
Our orbits overlap probably 1,001 different ways. Not even just that, our parents knew each other, and I think I met you when you were like a day old or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that can be a good thing. I'm sure that can be a bad thing too, when it feels like
if you've burned those bridges or you haven't worked hard. Like, and we, there's that saying about failing forward, right? You can't be perfect in every situation, but what I've always said is, did I do my best? Did I fail with grace? And if someone was to look at my failure, would they say, but she's the hardest worker you'll ever have? She might not have been great at that job, but was she the hardest worker you have? And if the answer is yes, then I've done what I needed to do, right? Because I might not have been great at that job, but like, you know what, that didn't fit her, but I absolutely think this will, and no one will work harder than she will. And that's all you can do, right?
Listen, you probably don't know how many people in your orbit look to you as a mentor too, whether or not you were like on the phone with them saying, here's what your next career, move should be. But watching somebody go for it, like just go for it, like shoot for the moon. I mean, granted, you also have this like insane talent for the arts, for dance, for movement, for performance, all of that. But there's
a level of
what?
Froze there for a second.
Oh no.
No, you're back.
Oh no, that's my baby.
Oh no.
No, hold on. Because I have a. It's my baby monitor. Hold on. Okay. Maybe you just rolled over.
A little wiggle. I love it.
This is good.
Yeah, you never know who you're impacting, and you never know what impact you're making on other people, and that's the thing, right? And it for me, with shining the light on you, you obviously made an impact. For them to call you and just be like, it's like a director or a writer writing a script with that person in mind. The show came up and they went, oh, we have the person. If she wants it, we have the person, right? Not you. Somewhere along the line in that year, you made that impact. And speaking of impact, let's talk about Big Brother. What, how, who made the call? Was it something that you were like, yes, or you're like, I don't know?
Big Brother like really came out of left field. To be honest, I had just moved to Edmonton with my husband, and I had 2 kids at the time. I have 3 now. And it was a casting agent that I'd worked with at another job. I was an associate producer on this wedding disaster show. And I sat near this amazing woman, Heather Muir, who was doing a bunch of casting for Cineflix. And we got to talking, and like, she's an amazing person. And when this job came around, she contacted my agent at the time and was like, hey, how come I don't see Arisa's reel? She'd be perfect for this. And then so he's like, oh, well, she just moved to Edmonton. And she's like, well, ask her. And then he did. And I was like, super cool. I was on a reality show a million years ago, but I completely understand like the mentality of what it takes to do something like this.
Yeah.
And so that's how that happened. It was like I happened to be in Toronto when they were doing the real, sit down auditions, and I got to talk to, so funny because they're women who I've worked with now for years. But it was Sue Brophy and Erin Brock, who are executive producers. Erin is the showrunner now. Sue has since retired. But I was like, I love it. I get it. This is so fun. It's so interesting. The psychological aspect of it, the sociological aspect of it, and then also the humor of it, the fun of it, the fact that it's this international brand and it's in all these different countries, and all the hosts are different and all the shows have a different flavor. I was all about it. And when I got that call, it was like, terrifying, because we weren't living in Toronto, we were living in Edmonton. I was like, if you say yes, this is like a lot to handle.
That's months out of the year that you're gone, right?
Yeah, it's but again, if you know how you sometimes you have a job or you do a thing and you're like, oh yeah, like I might be made for this thing. That's how I feel. And when you love something, it shows, and people want to see other people really enjoying what they're doing. And that's me. Like I feel so fortunate to be able to stand on a stage and experience a show as interesting as Big Brother from the inside and the outside, because I'm part of it, but I watch it like I'm not. I watch it like I'm a fan at home, and because it's a show that you can really get into, it's on 3 times a week, but there's also live feeds and there's also all this other content. And, sometimes there's an after show. And then, when this one's done, oh, that's okay. The UK is coming. Oh, no, Australia's, oh, the US one's on. Oh, Nigel's not, oh, Wicked. Like, there's always something happening in the Big Brother world. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. And again, I could probably name like 10 people on the show that I consider mentors, because a mentor isn't just teaching you one thing. A mentor is teaching you multiple things. And if you have a lot of that, like incredible, almost data coming in from other people and that inspiration coming from other people, it like really just turns up what you've got. If you're, again, willing to listen and watch and observe and are interested and curious in all the pieces that make something as awesome as it is. And at the time, I think when it started, I'm not Julie Chen, and a lot of Canadians who watch Big Brother, we got used to watching the US version, right? So, so here comes me, and I dropped that pretense right away. It was like, I'm not going to be somebody else. I can't be somebody else, even if I tried to be. So I'm just going to do me, and then hopefully I'll be accepted. And I got a lot of that first year. It was like, but then again, if you love it,
yeah.
If you're a viewer and you love it and you can tell the host loves it, it's a fun experience, So I think I'm very, very blessed to work with the people that I work with at Insight, and John Brunton, who was the head of that company with his sister, who has since retired. I think he really saw the love I had for the show and for the concept, and I love a crowd. And
you're a performer.
Well,
yeah,
it's kind of weird. Maybe.
Like,
Different kind of performing.
Yeah, and you're being yourself, but there's also that like energy you get from a live studio audience that you get. I know that you entertain them and you sing and you have all this fun during commercial breaks that people don't get to see. Like, there's an aspect of performance and presence and energy that you're getting from that, and which is why I think we can go down a rabbit hole, but it's like why I know live art won't die, because you can't replace that feeling for everybody, from the performers, for you being a host feeling that, from the audience feeling it back. Like, there's nothing like it. And so when you love it, I'm sure it doesn't feel like you're going to work when you go to
right. Which is, of course, it can be very annoying because people, see how much I enjoy it. They're like, I can tell you're not working. And I'm like,
no, I work very hard to not work and love what I do.
That's okay. Yeah, if you're good at something, you make it look easy, and it's only easy because like I work with incredible people who are like constantly elevating the game, and now as an executive producer, right? There's 4 others.
I'll say that again. She's now an executive producer and still host for Big Brother Canada. Let's just
listen.
So let's dive deep.
Okay.
What? So I know that you've produced, creative producer, associate producer. You've had like multiple titles in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Was this something that you always wanted with Big Brother Canada? I know it's something that you've wanted as a career, as part of your legacy, but did you see it ever happening with Big Brother Canada? And who moved the mountains? Who pushed
I think
to the left?
Well, on a show like ours, again, with such an incredible ensemble of people, from our showrunner Aaron, and our supervising producer, and our head of challenges, and then the production executives and the network, like it's all these amazing people working together, and everybody has kind of been like elevated. And our show, year after year, I mean, this is Canadian television. We didn't know if we were going to get a 2nd season.
Yep.
We didn't know if we were going to get a 3rd season.
That is a thing.
We didn't know if we were going to 4th or a 5th or we almost didn't get a 6th.
On to 9.
What's that?
We're on to 9, aren't we? Yeah. 9th season? Yeah.
It's crazy. So I think, like anything, you get to know something better, you get to know people better, you get to understand the brand better, and what we can do to fine tune and make it better and better and better. And I think that's, I don't know. I don't think I ever was like, and then my master plan is that but I think, slowly but surely, year after year, you're like, you get more confident in terms of what you could bring to the table. And what's great is, diversity isn't something that I feel like was a huge problem on our show. I think we actually started out very diverse, and it was like, yeah, but we can do even better. Like, we have this massive show that stars real people, and we're telling these real stories, and why not really go for it and address some of the things that have been sort of on the darker edges of reality TV for a long time. And a lot of conversations that happened in terms of racial justice over the summer, I think, and a lot of Black people and Indigenous people and people of color also experienced this, where it felt like suddenly like someone published the group chat, like, these are the conversations that if you are, right? If you are, oh, hold on, let me just, baby monitor, hold on. Yeah, suddenly all these conversations were being had by people that weren't people who were used to being like the one in the room, or one of 2 in the room, or what have you. And it was really beautiful to see these conversations bloom and people think about things differently
and embrace it.
Yeah, like people were in the streets protesting, and it wasn't like these crowds were all Black or all people of color. Like, people got it in ways that I assumed would never get it. Like, you know what I mean? And suddenly everyone's having these conversations and trying to do better. And it was like, let's go, let's go. And I have the most amazing team to do that with, like, from from the showrunner to our casting agent to the people who know how important our show could be to young people, who, you know, are the ones who are watching our show primarily. So listen, I'm excited. I'm excited because it seems like there's this wave happening and we're part of that wave, and I want to see where it goes. Because I think this is how I think about it. Imagine there was a show, Big Brother, say, and it was all men, right? And then, you know, one day, you know, there's a lot of women around. Maybe we should put a couple of women in the cast. And it's like, okay. So there's like 14 out of 16. And it's like, okay. And then next year you're like, you know what? Like, this is kind of cool. Like, it's a different perspective on stuff. Okay, what? Maybe we have a couple more. In a numbers game like Big Brother, it's really important that you're not immediately placed in a group that's separate from the big group. The key is personalities. Listen, people who are really good Big Brother players are gonna thrive anywhere, no matter who's in the cast, all of that. Mm-hmm. But how amazing would it be to sit down and show Canada this incredible texture and all these different experiences, and rural, urban, Black, Indigenous, white, LGBT, Q. Like, what would happen? Guess what? It'd be a wicked show. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to make a wicked show first. And I think that's what happens when you like mash all these really interesting people together. And I could not be more excited. I'm thrilled.
That's amazing. And I mean, and as a producer, you're making space for this to happen. Like, that is the blessing that comes out of that position, right? Because now you have the ability to actually be like, yeah, let's truly embrace everybody, right?
Yeah. And again, you can't do that unless you have incredible partners who get it too.
And who want it, who truly want it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, you always fear, okay, well, what if people are telling you what you want to hear? But that's not the case here. Like, we have some incredible creative minds who are behind some of the biggest and best, you know, unscripted shows in the country. And, you know, when they go for something, they go for like level 10, always. So I'm really, really proud to work there. And I'm really proud of all of those people that have mentored me throughout the years there as well. And what you said about creating space, that is the most important. Someone created space for me. Someone saw me and said, okay, she can do this thing. Mm-hmm. And I want more people to feel like they also can do that thing. Like, people are more willing to help than not help.
Absolutely. So do you have an ultimate spacemaker, like somebody that's been in your life this entire time that is always making space for you, that is always that?
This is going to be super corny, man, but
it's never corny.
Okay, I have to do a quick shout out to my parents, because my mom was the director of a daycare center at York University for like my entire life, basically. And she was so beloved by so many people. Like, this is a huge daycare. So all the kids that went through that over 25 years, and all the teachers who worked there in ECEs, and all the parents who had kids who came through there, I watched my mother be a leader, but leading with love and grace and fun and laughter. She really cared about people, and she really encouraged me. And again, I'm a self-starter. Like, she didn't have to be like, "Ooh, show me that test." I'd be like, "Mom, let me show you my test," right? but I picked up so much from her in terms of being a woman in charge, but not letting the in charge part take over everything. Like, people should Trini, true Trini, right? And then I'm gonna throw it to my dad, also a true Trini. He can rock with these high up people at the UN, and like also with these young kids playing soccer in Nairobi. Like he's had such a incredible international life, and he's an artist, and I learned so much from him too about not judging people and really being who you are no matter where you are. And then my stepmom, Elizabeth, who Elizabeth and my dad have been married for many, many, many years, and she was also an incredible mentor. She was at the UN Environmental Program for many years in Nairobi and in Washington, and she's retired now, but don't tell her that. She's still taking all kinds of stuff, all kinds of contracts, but somebody who lives this international life and has never seen like a challenge that they won't take on. These are people who I call and talk to all the time, even though it's a different business, even though I'm in television and I've been in journalism and all these things. Like, I think
leadership is leadership.
Leadership is leadership, and guts are guts. And people who know people know people. Like, I don't mean know their names and know their connections, but know, understand people's motivations and incentives. I think you can learn a lot from people who just get people. And the Trinis get people.
They do. So, crazy question for you. And it's just a random one, but I'm always curious about like the little things that like inspire people. Do you have a totem? So I have a totem, like there's a symbol in my life that I see and I know that good things happen, that I carry around with me all the time. And it's something that I'm like, yeah, whether you believe
what is it? What is it? What's your totem?
Oh, I can tell you that secret.
Oh. Wait till I interview you then.
Right. Tell you my totem then. But do you have a symbol or a spirit being that you is like a guiding force for you? Like for some people it's God, for some, everyone's answered this question differently. So I'm curious if you have something that you cherish like that you take with you.
Well, I don't have something physical. And yet I am one of those annoying people who considers herself spiritual. So I have my own sort of journey through religion. And my husband is Muslim, so we have all these like amazing conversations. And for me, though, the way I think about God is my ancestors. That's what I do think about. I think it's a really, really positive force, because the more I think about it, the less I ever feel like, woe is me. I think, when they say like, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, that's how I feel. And it really does eat away at doubt and fear. Nice. Thinking of all of the people that came together to make you who you are at this moment in time, for the sliver of time on Earth, and what things they may have gone through and survived and thrived through. I feel like when you feel like you've got blessings upon you, like that's who I feel is sending them. And so, yeah, sometimes I say the universe, sometimes I say God, sometimes I say the ancestors, but to me, it's all part of this one thing, right? This flow of positivity that, really is at the heart of human beings. And I don't necessarily think humans are all good or even neutral. I'm not even sure I believe any of that. I kind of feel like we are born in two different structures, different places in the world, different times. And it's up to us to do things better. And it's human nature it's a tough thing. Like, if we were born 400 years ago, what would our lives have been like? And who would we have been? And would we have been the same? I think about that a lot. But so I don't have a physical totem, but I definitely feel
a presence.
I feel like the Force. My son who loves Star Wars would be so proud of me. Be like, Mom, you're a Jedi. I'd be like, I know.
That's adorable. What is your best bad decision? That decision that you're like, I shouldn't do this, but I do, and it turned out to be the best thing you could have possibly done for yourself.
Well, I can't tell if it's going on a reality show. When I was 22, my mom was like begging me not to do it. Like, don't do it. So I think it was
laughter.
I'll take a year off, my final year of university to this crazy show. And then afterwards, I promised my mom, okay, but if I do this, I will go back to school and finish my last semester. Mm-hmm. And so I went back to finish my last semester. And I met my husband. So I'm really glad I went back. Even though to this day, Kathy, I am 1/2 credit short of graduating from Carleton University School of Journalism, and have been for the last almost 20 years.
You should get it on there. So I'm gonna put that in the universe for you.
Listen, can you imagine saying anything like more horrifying to a West Indian parent?
No.
I did this thing for 4 years, but I'm not actually going to give you the piece of paper that's like, oh my gosh, I might never live that one down. The only thing I have to show for it is that I was working, and that's kind of why I wasn't able to go back and finish, because I was working in the field that I was studying for. So that's the only reason I'm kind of not, deceased right now.
Did you have a significant fork in the road? Like that time where you're like, do I go right, left? And
man, there was lots of those. I think.
Anytime you were like, I'm done. I'm just done. I'm done with it all.
Well, I was like that after that show. After the show, I was like, I'm never doing on air again. And then like, whatever, 6 months later, like,
I'll try that one. It's okay.
Yeah. But when I moved to Edmonton, I was like, I'm gonna I might find something else completely different to do. And even before that, after E wrapped up in Canada, we were bought out, and so the show I was on, E News Weekend, ended. I almost moved to LA. Like, I was going to be a screenwriter. I was going to start from scratch again, and then my husband and I, we got pregnant. I got pregnant.
It does take two.
So cute, 2 of us, but really me. And it was like, okay, this is not the time to really like start a new career that is going to require an insane amount of hours. You start anything, you're going to, work probably more insane hours at the beginning than you would near the end of your career. So, I mean, I'm always writing. I write sci-fi. I'll never stop. I may publish. I may not. I may like just sit on some cool stuff that I've created. What's that?
She'll publish. You just need some time, y'all. She's gonna publish.
I might need some time, but like it's weird. I have a lot of things that I really enjoy doing creatively, whether or not they go anywhere. And I think also having kids has like turned that up in me, because I love creating with them. And everything I do is with them in mind. I want them to be proud of me, but I want them to find that thing that makes them glow, and then I see sometimes some of myself in them, or some of my husband in them. or my mom or my dad. And it's like, it's so exciting seeing these little minds grow and try to discover what they want to do. And then in some ways I'm like, I mean, I'm not going to be able to help them with everything. My career, as we've said, has never been a straight line. It's, you know, gone all over the place. And so do I have like great advice for someone who wants to take a path, like med school, and you gotta do this, and then you gotta be an engineer? Like, I can't really help with that kind of career. But hopefully I can arm them with a real sense of self, and humility and selflessness and all of those things that make really good humans. Because before you're a career person, you're a human, and hopefully, you know, that's actually
you don't lose your humanity along the way.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, listen, the world it can be a crazy place, man. You know, it can be a really, really hard place. So hopefully you arm them with a very strong backbone, because you can only, you know, control what you can control. It's not much. We're getting reminded of that all the time.
Daily.
You know, so, and anything that you can't control really is teaching you how to let go. And I've been thinking about that a lot as well, over the past weeks and months, because there's a lot of lessons to be learned from what we're living through right now. It's so unique. And also, you know, my heart goes out to all the people who
are having a rough time getting through this. For any number of reasons. For people who, you know, people who've lost people, and we'll never hug those people again. We'll never have those conversations. And the people who, it's really, really hard to be working at home and your kids are at home learning. And the people who are lonely, and the people who are surrounded by too many people, you know. I think this is really a time to be compassionate, for those around us who are making it through this weird time. And I want to believe it's making us better as humans. But speaking of making it better, did you have a tough love mentor? So like a Simon Cowell, a Gordon Ramsay, and Anna Wintour in your life at any point in your career? Did you have that person?
Someone who was super harsh on me.
That person that was like, nope, that wasn't it. Try that again.
That's probably my sister. Honestly, that's probably my big sister. She's shout out to Trisha. She's very honest. And you need those people. You need those people in your life, especially because, you know, like, especially if you're in the public eye, whatever, people have good reasons to be nice to you, but you don't know if they're nice to other people. You know, you can't tell if they're actually nice people sometimes. But it's really important that you have people around you that can like tell you that, you know, you're not as great as you think you are, because the second you get high on your own supply, you are in trouble. Everybody knows people who have. So I think that would be my sister. Like, it's weird. Unfortunately, so many of the mentors in my life have been people in my family for all kinds of different reasons. But
that's great. A lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, no, I'm lucky. Or blessed, or
so harsher question. Was there a moment or someone that taught you about betrayal in the industry?
Oh yeah. Again, when I talked about being on that reality show, I really did learn how to stand up for myself. I learned how stubborn I can be. And I remember I had a friend in that era who I really thought this person was my friend. And
bestie status.
What's that?
Like bestie status?
No, not bestie status, but somebody who had my best interest at heart. And then I found out that, like, not only was that not the case, but this person like actively disliked me. And I don't know, it's not like sabotage, but just when you don't expect it, like it hurts more. If it's someone that you know you don't vibe with, no big deal. You can tell when someone generally doesn't like you, or if you don't, you know, you can't hang with them or whatever, that's fine. But it's when you think that you have something with someone and you find out that that's not true, or if that person's ridiculing you behind your back or calling you names, all of that, that was very educational. I'm also not the type to like cry and moan about it either. It's just, I like to know. And if I know, then it's like, okay. So it was a good lesson. It was a good lesson. Again, I love people so much. That's why I love journalism. I love talking to strangers, and I love talking to people I know and getting deeper. And it was just a good reminder that, you know, not everyone is going to have your best interests at heart. So you do have to, you have to keep some kind of guard up. But then again, I also think that I wouldn't have had the blessings I've had in my life had I had my guard up the whole time. I'm a really open person. And that's changing a little bit just by nature of getting older and having more to protect, right? But hopefully that's something that I'll never fully lose, because I'm known to have incredibly deep conversations with randoms that I meet all the time. So hopefully that never changes.
Yeah, and those conversations have like been impactful and have actually opened up doors for you. So don't stop having conversations.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, did I ever tell you about that time when I was on a plane from, where was I? I think I was flying from LA to San Francisco, and then I was going to go back to Canada, and I ended up being on the plane beside this really interesting person, and we ended up talking. His name's Nilo Rodis, was someone who worked on the original Star Wars, worked at EA Games, was working on this crazy new game. He's like, we're looking for a writer. Oh, I write. Oh, really? What kind of stuff? Pull out the project I was working on. He looks at it. Okay. I ended up being a consultant for EA Games in Vancouver and Montreal, like randomly, from a random conversation at the right time. Like, the universe is full of like these weird magic, mysterious moments like that. That if you're really, really open, you can experience. So I never want to change that, because this life can be really, really harsh in a lot of ways, but it can be so beautiful and amazing in other ways too.
Awesome.
And listen, my life is richer because you're in it. So I'm glad you and I are here, Kathy.
And listen, you know how much I love you and admire you from time. So yes, no, absolutely. And my last lovely question for you is, but I think I know the answer, but I'll ask you anyway. Who are you making space for now?
Well, I am making space for young people who are looking for a way into this strangely changing industry. I'm here for Black women. I'm here for creators and creative people. I'm here for LGBTQ. It's so crazy that it was in the news. It was like the 20th anniversary of the first legal gay marriage in Canada, and I was there. I covered that for the Lofters. And like, I remember how special that moment was. I can't believe it's been 20 years. And ultimately, I'm here for my kids. I want this world to be a better place for them. I don't want them to grow up with so much anxiety over, like, think about it. I mean, when we were kids, it was like, okay, if there was the global warming was like a thing, but it was like ozone layer and like rainforests.
Yeah, it was like acid rain, ozone layer.
Oh, acid rain, right.
It's recycled.
But like
Indigenous, First Nations people was in there somewhere, you know, but
like there was lots of like unease about the future, but not like what young people are experiencing now, or they're like, all of the coastal cities will be gone in 50 years. Like it's a lot emotionally, mentally, all of that. So I think it's something we have to do. We have to take care of the planet. We have to take care of the people in it, and we have to manage to do both, but we don't let those pieces of paper get in the way of what we know we really have to do, you know. So yeah, that I'm here for. I mean, I'm also here for justice. I would like to see some justice. I would like to not have to say Black Lives Matter, because right now we keep seeing proof that they don't matter, or Indigenous lives don't matter, and I'm over that. They matter. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
We will always make space for that. Arisa, thank you so much for taking your time out, for your putting your child to bed so you could talk to me.
Oh, he's so cooperative.
He is so cooperative. I adore him already. Well, my friend, someone that I admire and someone that I'm blessed to know and have been a big fan for a long time.
Stop it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Same. This is amazing. The series that you're doing. I can't wait to listen to all of the other interviews and watch them and learn from them and get to know people. And you know full well, like this could have been a 9-parter. There's about, even right now, there's about 30 people who I'm like, wait, but I didn't say their name yet. Oh my God, how come I didn't say Elena Banks? How come I didn't say Tamara Semino? How come I didn't say Tracy Moore? How come I didn't say all the people that really, you know, rock my world on the daily? But no, there's a lot of amazing people out there, and I'm so glad you're talking to so many of them, because you're amazing yourself. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Yay.